almost in a statistical dead heat. We can show some of those polls, but the fact is that this has now taken on almost a life of its own for Bernie Sanders. What do you see that we should all be seeing when it comes to this particular race?
Well, certainly, I think there's really a revolution that's going on in both parties. And we see that with the Trump support, and we see that with the Bernie Sanders support. And that we have gone now in the last, 6 months from a situation where everyone said, gosh, this is just going to be anointment of Bush and Clinton. And, what does that mean for our political process and the national discussion that we have around what's happening in the economy and with our security and all these other issues, to having, incredibly wild, lively debates. Booing at a presidential debate, I've never heard of such a thing in my life, much less having, these incredible conversations going on about what is really happening to people and individuals on the ground, and having that motivation, I think, that was certainly lacking in the last presidential election.
Brad, I think Jessica's right that we haven't seen this before, and they may not like the comparisons, but Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders both came in second during Iowa, and now the people are saying, well, that was Iowa, and now let's get to New Hampshire. Well, they both did very well in New Hampshire, and then suddenly you're looking at all that's happening, and you look towards South Carolina. Trump looks like he's going to get South Carolina, and maybe Bernie looks like he's getting Nevada. This is really turning into a fascinating situation.
It is, but it's more real for Bernie versus Hillary because it's a two-person race, and Bernie's going head-to-head against her. It's a lot different with Donald Trump. He's winning with a minority of votes. He hasn't broke that ceiling of 40%. So the more people we have in the race on the Republican side is actually giving Trump the pathway to which he can go to the convention with a minority of votes and still claim victory. If this continues, it'll be a brokered convention for both Republicans and Democrats.
Wow, Jessica, do you see that? And as a strategist, are you gaming that? Are you trying to figure out how that should all go down?
Yeah, it's really fascinating, particularly because the Republican rules and the Democratic rules for delegates and superdelegates and how all these things work are so wildly different. And there were huge changes made to the rules at the last convention, actually, here in Tampa for the Republicans. So we're looking at a scene that we haven't seen. Certainly talk about the old school smoke-filled rooms and an incredible numbers game. Nate Silver has a really good piece out today about what it would look like, what the under-over is for each state that Clinton and Sanders need so that Sanders can even come close to getting the nominee, or at least having some sort of say in what the platform for the Democratic Party is going forward. So it's really a fascinating, if you're into running numbers and math, this is going to be a fight where we haven't seen since
hey,
decades.
My own children are really involved in this, and they're watching it every single day, and they're young. I say, look away, look away. Great to see both of you, Brad Blakeman and Jessica Ehrlich. And by the way, as I hold this cease and desist letter, are we really going to hear, and the plaintiff calls Ted Cruz?